must understand, Cash. I could never let them go. Where were your family when you were facing your final moments in the chamber anyway? You've left your old life, your old self behind. I'm all the family you need now.
Lionel Starkweather is by far one of the most sadistic villain gaming has ever created. His wickedness made Manhunt one of the most controversial games in the history of gaming. It got to the point where a bunch of countries like Germany and New Zealand banned it outright. In this video, I will explain and analyze Starkweather to show you why he was a sadistic villain who not only enjoyed killing people but also gained sexual pleasure out of them as well. And how did he manage to build his Snuff empire without the world knowing? By the end of this video, you will understand why Starkweather does everything he did in Manhunt and why he was too far gone. So who is he? Lionel Starkweather was once a successful Vinewood film director until his movies started to flop badly and his professional career was finished. Later, he moved to Carcer City and developed an obsession towards morbid acts of violence. Soon, Starkweather began producing underground pornography and snuff films, which he sold to certain Japanese businessmen. His newfound success made Starkweather very rich, allowing him to open an illegal film company named Valiant Video Enterprises. You can find a van of Valiant Video Enterprises at the very beginning of the game. Eventually, Starkweather began working with various criminals, like Mr. Nasty, and hired local psychopaths to serve him. Starkweather also employed a group of lethal mercenaries known as the Cerberus to serve as his personal bodyguards. At one point, Starkweather exacted his revenge on those who ruined his career by filming their murders in a video collection he entitled Director's Cut. You can find these information in his bonus files. This leads us to snuff films. You might be wondering what a snuff film actually is. Well, snuff films are type of films which have real violence and deaths within them. The viewers of these films have a sadistic mind which makes them enjoy these films. However, some viewers also find these films to be sexually gratifying. They find pleasure watching these films as they are turned on by the executions and brutal ways people are killed. Knowing that it happens in real time and people are suffering makes the viewers engage with such films very highly, which means during the year 2001, which is when Manhunt probably took place, snuff films had an underground scene and market in Japan. Despite the suggestions, snuff films are a myth because in real life, snuff films have never surfaced. This is most likely a parody of Rockstar's part. If you're wondering why, then let me explain the universe of Manhunt. Manhunt and GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas are set in the exact same universe. There are a lot of references of this and downright confirmation as well. For example, in Manhunt you can find Sprunk can vending machines, which is a parody of Sprite. The same brand of soda can also be found in Grand Theft Auto games. Even in Grand Theft Auto 5 you can find Sprunk vending machines. You might think this is just Rockstar Games using the same assets and nothing else, since both of the game franchises mentioned are created and published by Rockstar Games. But that's not true. In GTA 3, you can hear a Radio Lips 106 news where a reporter tells us that Carcer City is nearby Liberty City, and she mentions Gary Schaefer, who is the head of the police department in Carcer City. This confirms that both of these franchises are in the same universe.
So I'm sitting here reading the Liberty Tree, and it says, in nearby Carcer City, a good day for law and order as Police Chief Gary Schaefer was cleared of corruption charges in a controversial decision by the courts. Let's hope those missing witnesses turn up safe and sound.
If that wasn't enough, Michael from Grand Theft Auto 5 also mentions that his first ever heist took place in the outskirts of Carcer City in 1988. This happens right before the Paleto Bay heist.
Come on, we got a score to take.
You ever hit a bank before, Franklin?
Yeah, I was the driver on the job my boy Lamar pulled. Guess it's the same kind of shit we doing now, right?
Nice, bro. What was the tape?
Shit, I don't know, man. I can't remember.
Come on. Everyone remembers their first score.
Shit, not me.
Mikey, bro, what was your first bank score?
88, outskirts of Carcer City. Took a small franchise for 10G. Yeah, things were easier back then.
Yeah, 25 years ago. Jesus!
This is enough to tell you that both of these franchises are in the same universe. We all know that GTA games are parodies of real life, and because of the fact that Manhunt is set in the same universe, it can also count as a parody of real life. This is why Snuff films are a parody as well. Lastly, before we move to Starkweather, I would like to mention one last reference of Manhunt in Grand Theft Auto. During the intro cutscene of San Andreas, when CJ is in the airport, you can find Carcer City on the departure timetable, and it has the H gate as its entrance.
After 5 years on the East Coast, it was time to go home.
Welcome to Los Santos Airport.
What's up?
Carl is sweet.
What's up, sweet? What you want?
His mama. She's dead, bro.
In the game, there are NPC voice lines that suggest they want to move to Carcer City.
I want to move to Carcer City.
In Manhunt, San Andreas is also mentioned as a place. With that being said, now let's move to Starkweather and explain how he took over Carcer. Now a crime boss, Starkweather began paying off the CCPD police chief Gary Schaefer, allowing him absolute control over Carcer City and all the gangs participating in his Snuff films. At one point, he purchased a 4-story mansion, which was designed by the Las Venturas Planning Department and built in Wapona Hills. With all this power in hand, Starkweather remained isolated in his mansion, watching everything through security cameras located throughout the city and paying people to do all of his evil work. If you're wondering where Las Venturas is, it is a city from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It is situated north of San Andreas. It is by far the richest and nicest city of the game, which is another detail that tells us about Starkweather having money and power. In the first of his Snuff films in Carcer City, ironically called Manhunts, Starkweather employed Pixie, who had become a successful star at slaughtering many runners. However, as he is mentally insane, Pixie eventually turns into a liability of the director due to his overly savage and unpredictable behavior. Though he had fallen out of Starkweather's favor, rather than executing the chainsaw-wielding naked guy, due to his cannibalism, he still deemed Pixie useful as a means of disposing corpses, and decided to lock him away in the attic of his mansion. With no active star for his movies, Starkweather needed a replacement, which led to the events of the game. Manhunt takes place in Carcer City, where you play as James Earl Cash. After waiting as a death row inmate for 3 years in the Darkwoods Penitentiary, it was time for him to be executed. A female reporter is keeping up with Cash's story, and I will talk about her later. The crimes committed by James Earl Cash were never revealed. This is done purposefully by the developers so that he will remain a mystery. When he was about to get executed, the staff used an injection which knocked him out rather than killing him completely. This was done because they were all being bribed by Starkweather. When Cash wakes up, he starts to listen to Starkweather. Starkweather tells him that his job is to kill the hunters trying to kill him, and he has to do it in a brutal fashion. Otherwise, the audience won't like it. Having no choice, Cash is forced to do his dirty work.
It looks like this goes all the way to the top. I can't trust anyone, least of all the police, and time's running out. I've got to get the one piece of evidence that will expose Starkweather without a shadow of a doubt. Footage and testimony of a man who was executed by the state 5 hours ago.
James Earl Cash, found guilty and sentenced to death, has been on death row for the past 3 years and was executed last night.
Hey, tough guy, wake up. You're not dead. Well, not yet, anyway. You're getting a second chance. Another throw of the dice. As far as the world is concerned, you died back in the chamber. Justice was served. James Earl Cash is rotting in hell. Hey, get a grip and calm down. You're probably suffering from shock, and I'm here to help. Pick up the ears. Put it on. Go on. That's better. Now only you can hear me. And that's the way you're gonna want it, because I'm your only way out of here. Hey, easy. Look, you've had an unexpected reprieve. Do exactly as I say, and I promise this will be over before the night is out.
Starkweather also mentioned that Cash was announced dead to the world. Why did he do that? This was done because if Cash was not executed, the people who suffered from his crimes might go after the state. This would ultimately bring a lot of eyebrows to the operations of Starkweather, which he couldn't allow. Not to mention, Starkweather needed Cash to die so that in the event Cash ever escaped the ring, he would never be able to reveal anything about the ring, as that would mean him exposing himself in the first place. But Starkweather never intended Cash to make it out alive in the first place, which means the first reason is the main logic behind announcing Cash's death. After Starkweather tells Cash what he needs to do in order to stay alive, Cash gets right into it. Starkweather introduces Cash to the Hood as the first group of hunters.
These streets are being patrolled by gangs. They're scum, just like you. And they're here to hunt you down and cut you up. I'll try to direct you as best I can, but other than that, you're on your own. It's up to you. Okay, are you ready? Camera, action.
Starkweather told the Hoods that this is just a blood sport and not much else. That's because the Hoods are actually the least dangerous hunters. They are your average Joe and some off-duty cops that doesn't know how deep this ring goes. That's why they are the least dangerous to Cash. Starkweather also needed to see how good Cash really was. That's why he put the least dangerous hunters to hunt down Cash as his very first challenge. The first ever Hood Cash kills is intentionally placed facing away from Cash, and Starkweather marked the wall beside him so Cash knows what to do. However, the Hood member did not know this. That's why he was placed in a position where Cash had complete advantage. He was also given a plastic bag so that he would kill the Hood member brutally for the cameras to capture. This also showed us that Cash was probably in jail for murder, as he is completely capable of killing people with ordinary household items. After taking down the second Hood member where Starkweather tells Cash about hiding in shadows, he puts Cash in a basketball field and throws a Hood member for him to fight one-on-one. From
here on in, we're gonna need some fighting skills to get through the action. We're talking toe to toe. I know you've got the balls, so just give me the best you've got and you'll deal with this pussy, no problem. The gate will open once I'm done filming here.
The reason Starkweather did this is because he wanted to see how good Cash would be in a 1v1 fight, because that would help him to find Cash's weakness and strengths. Remember, he's making Cash kill people brutally. It makes no sense to have a 1 versus 1 fight because it won't go as brutal as sneaking up on someone. Not to mention, people see others fight one-on-one as a regular thing on the streets anyway, which means this is not used for Snuff, but more likely for Starkweather to see if Cash was fit for the job and to know his strength. After that, he introduced Cash to the Hoods, and Cash had to kill the rest in order to proceed further.
Just take your time, Cash. I see a few hoods around these vans. Sorry, I should explain. Each gang has their, let's just call it, their thing. These guys call themselves the Hoods, but none of that should bother you. As far as you're concerned, they're meat. Okay, on you go.
It's just a matter.
In the final encounter, Cash had to kill 2 Hoods in order for Starkweather to let him go to the next scene. Once he finishes them both, Starkweather opens up the chute door and Cash proceeds.
Okay, there are some more of these shitheads hanging around the exit. Give me some grade A, honest-to-God gore, and you'll be buzzed through the door.
In the next scene, Starkweather tells Cash that he was doing a great job as a Starkweather was getting great material. It is important to mention the fact that each level of Manhunt is called scene. That's because everything that happens in Manhunt is recorded for Snuff. That means everything, even scenes where the supposed Snuff has ended, and I will explain this later.
You're doing fine, Cash, just fine. We're getting some great material here. Keep going.
After killing a couple of hoods by the orders of Starkweather, Cash finds himself in a situation where he needs to open a door but it is locked. He needed to find a crowbar for the lock.
You're gonna have to find something to bust that padlock.
In search of the crowbar, he needed to kill more hoods. However, while looking for the crowbar, Cash finds a room that has dead bodies hanging from the ceiling. These are real dead bodies used as props to make the snuff be more authentic. As you can tell, these are old dead bodies because when you hit them with a bat, it makes a noise that sounds like you're hitting rotten meat. There are rats underneath these bodies as well. But then again, rats are everywhere in Carcer City anyway. In order to make Cash's life hell, Starkweather hid a painkiller in the middle of these bodies so that he has to get close to them in order to get that painkiller, further recording his torment for the viewers to enjoy. This is why you will notice a lot of painkillers are placed near dead bodies. When Cash goes for the man who had the crowbar, he sees Cash and hides. Cash approaches him and he tries to jump on Cash. Unfortunately, Cash hides and kills him successfully, then takes the crowbar. On the way, Starkweather tells Cash to open the door with the crowbar, but he doesn't mention to Cash that he threw in a couple of hoods for him to kill. He will do this throughout the entire game, and that's because he is a sadistic person. It makes him happy seeing Cash suffer or the hunters to die brutally. Cash takes care of these hoods and opens the locked door. After that, he finds himself in a building with bloodied rooms. In the basement, there are lights where Starkweather planned another 1v1 for Cash to record. This 1v1 takes place because Starkweather wanted to record one for the snuff. You might think that makes no sense since a few moments ago I told you that he made Cash do a 1 versus 1 because he needed to see his weakness and strength and not for the snuff. However, that is exactly why in this exchange Starkweather placed lights and there is blood all over the room. And this time he made Cash fight someone with a crowbar, and Cash was also equipped with one as well, because Starkweather knew this was going to be more violent than the fight before, which was hand to hand, and the environment being bloody and gory made it better for Snuff. This is why, unlike the fight that happened before, this time Starkweather wanted to record this.
Give them an edge.
I never saw you.
When Road to Ruin starts, Starkweather stops giving Cash any updates. That's because he didn't want to help Cash in this scene, and I will show you how he goes against Cash in this scene purposefully to make it more interesting for the audience. At first, Cash kills a hood and approaches a staircase when all of a sudden another hood gets a jump on him and tries to kill him. Starkweather told this hood member in his earpiece that Cash was coming. That's why he jumped to catch Cash off guard. But Cash is a skilled killer. He hid in the shadows and executed the hood when he started to look away. Right after that, another hood member jumps at Cash. Again, it is because of Starkweather. You might think that they are jumping at Cash because in my gameplay I was running, but that isn't the case. You can walk and make zero noise, but they will still jump at you because Starkweather tells them in their earpiece about Cash. This also makes this scene more interesting for the audience to watch. After that, Cash opens another padlocked door with his crowbar and yet another hunter jumps at him.
Thinks he's a fucking ninja or something. No one said anything about running all night.
This is exactly why Starkweather didn't tell Cash anything about this scene. Remember, he's the director of this film after all. That's why he wanted to see Cash get scared, as that would add terror to everything and make the film more engaging. When he kills off these hoods, Starkweather tells him to open another cellar door and that he was doing great.
You're doing great, kid. Grade A stuff. Now, find your way to the cellar door.
That's because he was taking care of every single hood Starkweather sent at his path. The only reason Starkweather helped Cash in this encounter was because there was a locked door and Cash needed to know about it so that he doesn't throw away his crowbar for anything else. Once all of the hoods are taken care of, Cash unlocks the door and goes to the basement of the Carcer City Library. However, when he's done killing these three, Starkweather says this.
Can't hide all night. We're gonna...
Hey, go!
You're really getting me off, Cash.
Yes, that's right. Starkweather is getting off when you are brutally killing people. That's because it is sexually satisfying him. There are no books in this place. Instead, you have rubble, lights, and corpses for Starkweather to film his next action. Cash manages to kill all of the hoods and open the last door to escape from the library. This marks the end of the scene and the introduction to Cerberus. They take the weapons away from Cash because Starkweather wanted Cash to face the skins in the next scene, and so he needed to be taken to their spot where he will have to go against them. The reason behind Cerberus beating him up is just so he is tortured for the audience, as they would love to see him taking punches and kicks in his body. This is also partly a scare tactic to make sure Cash is afraid of his surroundings and Starkweather.
Get ready, boys. He's coming.
The next scene is called White Trash. This is because the skins are nothing more other than white supremacists. They are introduced as the new hunter gang for Cash. Though Starkweather doesn't mention it quite yet, he hates the skins, and I will explain later why.
I'm here.
Okay, you limp dick faggots. Let's give Mr. Starkweather a show to remember. Move it!
So I lied. We haven't quite wrapped this gig up. But hey, you're having fun, right? There's a double gate that leads on through to our next location. Find it.
Cash kills the first skins by using a wire and cutting his head off. After that, Starkweather mentions that there is a skins member that was watching for Cash as a recon and will alert others if he sees him. When referring to this skins member, he calls him a bigot. This is the further portrayal of Starkweather's hatred towards the skins.
Careful. There's a bigot guarding the gate. If he sees you, his cheery buddies.
The skins look like they are neo-Nazis, and that's because they are. Some of them have the lettering NPFO written on them. This is referring to Nazi punks off, a reference to the song by the band Dead Kennedys, and further portraying their neo-Nazism. They are a group of hunters comprised of white supremacists and white power. They can be heard swearing allegiance to the Aryan Brotherhood, spotting off extremists and fundamentalist views and expressing hatred towards other races. Several of the skins talk to themselves about wanting to make their dead fathers proud of them. Anyways, after taking care of the skins, Cash manages to get a knife to cut the rope of the door. Once Once he enters the other side, Starkweather tells him about the nail gun. It is placed in front of the hunter intentionally by Starkweather in order to make the scene where Cash is forced to get the attention of him. Not only that, when Cash kills him and gets the nail gun, two more hunters pop out of nowhere. This happens because the moment he gets the nail gun, Starkweather tells the skins about him getting the nail gun and exposes his location, which is why they appear to kill Cash. They fail and Cash takes out more enemies. He even manages to kill a hunter near an explosive barrel by blowing it up. Then he turns the switch to the door that Starkweather wanted him to open. When he tells Cash about the door, his tone is very aggressive. These are the moments when we get a glimpse of Starkweather's psyche. He enjoys torturing people both physically and mentally. He wanted Cash to think that he was going to make it, only for him to find out that it was going to take longer. By tormenting Cash mentally, Starkweather finds pleasure and joy. Unfortunately for him, Cash manages to open the door and reach the next scene.
You didn't think I'd let you out that easily, did you? It's an electric lock. Find the release switch.
In the beginning of this scene, Starkweather expresses his hatred towards the skins. He mentions how these supremacists are blaming others for their failures. That's because Starkweather sees them very lowly and has no respect towards them. Starkweather was a Vinewood movie director. It is possible that white supremacy was something he was against. Vinewood is the fictional Hollywood of the Grand Theft Auto franchise, so like in real life, it makes sense that Vinewood's vast majority of power players are probably Jewish people like in Hollywood, which might be why Starkweather hated them, because he had to have worked with people in that field and might have respect for them. However, another reason of him hating white supremacy might be because he is a Jewish person himself. This has not been confirmed, but apparently he wears a talit. Talit is a Jewish prayer shawl worn during prayer services to fulfill a biblical commandment, which makes way more sense as to why he might have hatred towards the skins, because a sadistic person like Starkweather drawing a line at racism seems very unlikely, but makes sense when you see that it opposes his own beliefs, which is another selfish aspect of Starkweather and how he thinks of himself over everyone else. At first, Cash kills 3 skins and Starkweather actually finds joy seeing them die because of this reason.
Oh man, that was good. The gate's open. Go on, get out of here.
When the door opens, Cash has to take out another hunter who was watching porn. He breaks the fuse to make him come down. Once he does, Cash executes him from the back. Then comes the crane that needs to be fueled, hence the name of the scene. It is called Fueled by Hate because on one hand, Cash is going to fuel the crane, and on the other, Starkweather is motivated to do this scene because of his hatred towards the skins and also the skins having hatred within them as well. When Cash gets the fuel, Starkweather tells the skins about him carrying the fuel so that they go after Cash and cover the exits.
Cover the fucking exits now!
Cash manages to kill them and fuel the crane. Once he clears the way out by removing the fridge on his path, a couple of his skins try to ambush him, but Cash has exceptional killing skills, so he manages to kill them with that crane. When Cash is fighting them, they are using nail guns. That's because Starkweather knew Cash would be safe inside the crane, and the only way the skins could ever damage Cash was if they had guns. That's why he prepped these hunters with nail guns in order for them to do damage to Cash. From here, Cash kills the rest of the skins that Starkweather throws in his way until he finds another crane and kills some more the same way he did before. After finishing off the last hunter, Cash tries to run away but gets subdued by the Cerberus in order to be transported to the next scene where he meets the deadliest hunter gang yet. We get a glimpse at Pixie, who is tied in Starkweather's house. The Cerberus is giving him food, which is human flesh. This is the first time we're shown of Pixie's cannibalism. Cerberus likes to make fun of Pixie, which is a subtle showcase of their abuse of power. After that, we meet the War Dogs. The leader of this hunter gang is Ramirez. After the skins, Starkweather realized Cash was far better than those chumps, and he got the War Dogs to do his bidding. These hunters might give an impression that they were in the army, but that isn't completely true. The War Dogs are a criminal paramilitary gang primarily consisting of wannabe soldiers and alleged army veterans, with one of them claiming to be an ex-Navy SEAL. They are the first hunters to carry actual guns rather than nail guns.
Fall in and listen up. Eddie, it's time to get out there and nail that bastard. War Dogs? Yeah!
These pricks call themselves the War Dogs. Real dickless, gung-ho losers. You're gonna have to tool up if you're gonna make it. Take it slow and see what you can take from these guys.
Cash kills them and takes their machete. From this point onward, he can chop their heads off with the machete and use their heads as throwable object. As usual, Cash continues to kill these War Dogs in order to progress. Starkweather tells him that there is another locked door up ahead that will allow him to exit. However, this is a lie. Cash kills his enemies and takes a crowbar from them. But when he gets out, Starkweather tells him that he didn't know why there are more War Dogs trying to kill him. If you pay attention to the way he tells it to Cash, you can sense the sinister smirk of his mind. He is, after all, a sadistic killer. That's why he's intentionally telling Cash that he didn't know. In a way, Cash could tell he was obviously lying. These small details are signs of Starkweather's sadistic mentality and how he always remains to be a sadist both physically and psychologically.
Oh hell, that wasn't in the script. Honest Cash, they're making it up as they go along, I swear.
Cash kills the War Dogs up ahead and takes the tranquilizer gun from them, which puts people to sleep. Once he's done doing that, he escapes the park this time. At this point, Starkweather realized that Cash was simply going to kill anyone on his path, which was becoming a bit boring for the audience, which is why he ends up doing one of the most sinister and evil thing you can imagine in the next scene. After realizing that Cash was not going to break mentally, Starkweather has prepared his most wicked scene as of yet. It is likely that Starkweather had Cash's family kidnapped at the start of the game, because it would be a very difficult task, if not impossible, to find out Cash's family during the manhunt scenes, as that would mean he had to find and kidnap 4 people from Cash's family within the same night. The reason Starkweather had his family members kidnapped is because he wanted to make the next scene interesting for the viewers. As a sadist himself, he knew if the show was getting stale or not, so he kidnapped the family and told Cash that he had to go and save them. But if he gets caught, the War Dogs with guns will execute his family. Having no choice, Cash had to play along by Starkweather's wicked rules.
Hold up, Cash. You and your family weren't exactly close, am I right? It's just that I thought it would be nice to have a surprise reunion. But these War Dogs didn't see it my way, and they've taken matters into their own hands. They're using them as bait, Cash. Bait! I know! I can hardly believe it myself. Each time they spot you, these war dogs are gonna execute one of your beloved family.
It is also important to mention that Starkweather tells Cash that he and his family weren't that close since they weren't there at his execution. The reason behind it is yet another jab at Cash. He is having fun and enjoying every time he is mentally abusing Cash. In his twisted, sick mind, he thinks because of the fact that Cash is not that close to his family, it makes it okay to kill or harm them. However, from Cash's perspective, it is understandable. He is, after all, a convicted criminal, so it makes sense that his family was never going to be anywhere near him. But of course, he also knew what Starkweather was exactly doing. But Cash had no choice other than believing Starkweather since he was completely powerless. So Cash goes on and saves all of his family members. It is important to note that you only need to save one family member in order to progress in this scene. However, canonically, it makes sense that someone like Cash probably ended up saving all of his family members. After Cash saves all of them, Starkweather opens the mouth of the shark and lets him progress further. Starkweather uses his patronizing tone once again when he is talking to Cash about his family being used as bait, which is him further messing mentally with Cash. After Cash saves all 4 of his family members and enters the mouth of the shark, he kills a couple more war dogs and gets treated with a door that says "This way to hell" in blood. This is because Starkweather is about to reveal a wicked twist to Cash in the next scene. Before that, we get a glimpse of Cash being arrested by the Cerberus once again, but this time Cash is not trying to run away from them. Why? That's because Cash has started to figure out that he cannot lose them and that they are watching him all the time. He also figured that the Cerberus are the ones that will take him to the next location. No point in fighting them. That's why he complied with them.
You just won't fucking die, will you?
After that, we get to see a brand new hunter gang. These guys are the Innocence, and Ramirez is also giving them orders besides the war dogs. They are full of psychopaths and pedophiles.
You, get out to the graveyard. You, I want you up there. And I want you to follow him over to the mall. Now fucking move!
Next up is View of Innocence. The title of this scene makes sense since this is the first scene where Cash deals with the Innocence. Starkweather mentions to Cash about a camera and a tape where he will find a video that he will like. This entire scene is a showcase of Starkweather's sadistic nature.
So, how are we doing, Cash? Enjoying it so far? I thought you could do with a little R&R, so I've arranged a special screening. Just for you. It's work in progress, but I think you'll appreciate it. I've hidden a tape and a video camera in the mall. Find them. By the way, these guys are packing heat, so you might want to find a gun for yourself.
He is basically torturing Cash simply because of the fact that it is giving him pleasure. So, at first, he forces Cash to fight these Innocents, and this time it is a gunfight, which means he is making sure that Cash has a hard time getting through these hunters, and if Cash gets hit, it is only good for business since his downfall is what the audience wants. After taking them all out, Cash gets the tape in the second floor. Once he gets the tape, Starkweather sends a couple of hunters to keep raising the stakes. Cash marches onward and finds the camera. However, it just so happens that the camera has a broken screen, so he can't watch the tape in the camera. This is another way of Starkweather tormenting Cash to fulfill his pleasure and forcing him to go through a bunch more hunters and increasing the chance of him getting hurt.
Oh, hell. That's the camera with the broken screen. I told those guys. No problem. There's a TV in a bar somewhere around here.
Cash executes a couple more Innocents till he finds the TV, but it also doesn't work.
Does nothing fucking work around here? You're gonna have to see if you can turn on the power in the basement. Beautifully done, Cash. Now just toddle back up to the bar and enjoy the show.
So he has to turn on the light in the basement and then finally play the tape. When everything is said and done, he finally watches the tape and finds out Starkweather's ultimate betrayal. He kills Cash's family. When Cash rages and throws the TV, that's exactly what Starkweather wanted from him. That reaction only makes the film better. This is also the only time Cash showed emotions. Even though I just said Starkweather betrayed Cash, in reality Starkweather was never his friend. So when I say he betrayed Cash, all I really mean is that he made Cash think that he saved his family, which was a lie.
You must understand, Cash. I could never let them go. Where were your family when you were facing your final moments in the chamber anyway? You've left your old life, your old self behind. I'm all the family you need now.
When Cash threw the TV, Cash was furious, and even though Starkweather never realized it, that was the moment his downfall truly started. This also gives a twisted double meaning to the name View of Innocence, because Cash just saw his family die and they were innocent people who didn't deserve it. Keep in mind, these names are actually selected by Starkweather as well, because he is, after all, the director of these films. He knew that calling this scene View of Innocence would give it a double meaning and make it extremely sick and twisted. And as you have realized by now, that is the whole point. This is the first scene where Cash has to escort someone from one point to another. In this scene, Starkweather forces Cash to protect a tramp. He mentions to Cash that he looked lonely. You can probably tell why.
I've got a little surprise for you. You looked lonely, so I got you some company. Unfortunately, the Innocents thought better of it and locked him up. You're gonna have to bust him out.
Anyways, after that, Cash kills off a babyface guarding the door and sets the tramp free. It is possible that this tramp is friends with Starkweather since he has starred in other films of his, but there are no confirmation to this theory. Other than that, this is just an escort mission. Cash kills the Innocents on his path while protecting the tramp.
Well, what do you think of your new friend? You look good together, Cash. Really, you do. I'll only open any gates if he's with you, alive and well. Now, get going. Entertain me.
He ends up killing babyfaces too, which are pedophiles roaming around.
I've got a surprise for you. Look, I've got it right here. I'm trying to help you, darling, but Daddy needs to know where you are hiding.
By the end of the scene, he gets his hands on guns and kills all of the remaining innocents and progresses to the next scene. The interesting thing about this scene's ending is that when it ends, the tramp disappears. The game never mentions why, and it feels like there was going to be more to the tramp plotline. But it is also possible that the developers simply did not want to keep the tramp for more scenes, as escort missions are not very fun to play through. So they decided to ditch him after the end of Drunk Driving. The reason this scene is called that is because you are protecting a drunken tramp. Other than that, not much happens in this scene. Starkweather gives sickle to the Innocents so that Cash can kill them and then take the sickle from them and open their stomach up as a brutal way of finishing them off. Off to the next scene. Graveyard Shift is by far one of the most difficult scenes to progress through. Not only do you have the worst weapon of the game, which is the double-barrel shotgun, but also because you cannot progress without it for the first few fights, which are intentionally designed to be hard. My guess is that Starkweather knew the shotgun wasn't gonna do much, and that's why he placed those hunters in that location. One thing that needs to be pointed out is that the reason some hunter NPCs don't react like other NPCs and have their own pre-programmed path is because Starkweather is actually actually telling these hunters to stay exactly like that. He does this so Cash at times have a chance to make it out alive for the next scene, and also because it would allow Cash to go for some gruesome executions. So it is possible that Starkweather gave Cash his shotgun so that no matter what, he had to stick to it for the first few hunters he fought in the scene, which is probably Starkweather's way of torturing Cash by forcing him to take shots here and there, which will further satisfy his sadistic mind. Before this scene begins, he says, "Time for a little overtime," because think about it, Cash is simply killing more innocents in this scene using guns. Unlike the last 3 scenes, this one has nothing to go for other than the brutal executions. Part of the reason Cash has a shotgun is because it allows him to blow up the enemy's head, which adds value to the film.
Time for a little overtime. Make your way through the factory. The loading bay is your only way in. Well, that's put a spanner in the works. Why don't you try the guard hut?
When Cash manages to kill the innocents guarding the hut and turns the switch on for the door, he finds out his next objective is to make it to the foyer.
Way to go, Cash. Now make your way through the factory. For a job well done, make your way to the foyer.
Loads of innocents try to stop him, but he crushes them all. On his way, he destroys the heads of his enemies in order to add gore to the snuff. Using an elevator, Cash manages to almost escape, but Starkweather puts a ton more hunters in his face. The worst part is, when all of the hunters are coming for Cash, Starkweather tells him that he likes Cash, but these innocents don't. This is another bold-faced lie that Starkweather loves to tell. He knows he can mess with Cash's psyche by doing this, and there are no consequences since he was under the impression that everything was under control so far. Of course, it was all about to fall apart. When Cash opens up the final door in order to exit the building, Starkweather lies once again and tells him that he will meet him outside with beers. At this point, Cash knew completely that Starkweather was a compulsive liar. He lies because it makes him happy to torture Cash. That's why when Cash was done killing all the innocents, he started to run away. Not to mention, after killing Cash's family, Starkweather knew he was never going to meet Cash face to face. The Cerberus takes Cash to the next scene once again.
I don't think we made too many friends. Hell, I like you. These guys.
What the fuck? Get to bed. Now. You heard the man.
Our next scene takes place in the Darkwoods Penitentiary. This is Carcer City's biggest asylum for prisoners. If you pay attention, you will notice the stark contrast from the narration to the actual prison. The narrator says that this prison has modern facilities and exceptionally well-staffed service. However, this is the furthest from the truth. This is a clue of the game to tell the players how much of a good job Starkweather did to keep everything hidden from the outside world. The truth is, this penitentiary is completely gone to hell and is ruled by the Smileys, the next hunter gang that Cash faces. These are the inmates of this prison that got institutionalized then went insane. The narrator also says that this penitentiary has routine health checks, but that is also completely false. You might think that the only truth was the last thing he said, which is him mentioning where death sentences are carried out. Even that is a lie, because Cash is about to carry out the rest of the sentences anywhere he is going to go. Once the introduction ends, Starkweather gives Cash a heads up that the Smileys have taken control of the asylum and have access to guns. We already know that Starkweather paid the Carcer City Police Department to let him do what he wanted, which is why they let the prison run free and gave the Smileys access to guns. That's why there are no cops in this prison. Starkweather understood Cash's potential and knew that keeping these insane individuals alive was useless. That's why this is the last set of hunter that Cash faces before Starkweather tries to kill him, which I will talk about later. But that shows you how much evil Starkweather was.
The senator also visited the Darkwoods Penitentiary, which hosts more than 1,000 inmates from all over the country. The prison's modern facilities include spacious cells for the inmates. The exceptionally well-staffed hospital is equipped for emergencies, as well as routine health checks. Adjacent to row 1, the electric chair room is where death sentences are carried out.
Right here. Drop him. The lunatics have taken over the asylum, Cash. The only way to reason with these gibbering idiots is with a stick and a gun. I want you to kill the hunter patrolling the tower walkway and bring his body to the guard room. There's a hunter in the next room through the mesh door. Hack him up and I'll buzz open the next set of doors for you.
He wanted to get as much mileage he could from Cash, and that's why the Smileys were the last guys on his list for Cash to clear. At first, Cash kills Fug by tricking him to switching off a circuit.
Time to play! Time to play! Fuck coming!
That's the ticket. I've opened the doors. Run along now.
After that, Starkweather gives Cash some information in order to clear the way ahead. The only reason he is helping Cash is because it is benefiting him as Cash continues to kill the rest of the Smileys.
There are some more of these paranoid crazies guarding the door to the greenhouses. They see you, and I guarantee they'll lock that door. When they feel safe, they'll probably unlock the door again. They like their routine.
The door! Shut it! Shut it!
I'm gonna take the kids. I'm taking the kids to Mom's, and this time I'm not coming back, I swear.
Cash kills every single roamer and blows up the brick wall in order to progress further and reach the tower. After that, he shoots his way to the top of the tower and manages to decapitate the head of the last Smiley that was guarding the tower. For this, Starkweather gives Cash a shotgun as a reward later on. But if you don't bring his head and instead bring his body, then Starkweather only lets you progress to the next scene.
For bringing his head, I'll leave a gift for you in the next location.
In the next scene, Starkweather reveals his true self. At the beginning of Mouth of Madness, the narrator said that this prison stored 8,000 inmates. In this scene, Starkweather tells Cash to pick up the hammer and perform a gruesome and violent execution. If you keep killing Smileys in this scene without doing a violent and gruesome execution, enemies will keep respawning. From a gameplay standpoint, it is done so that you aren't soft-locked. However, the lore reason behind this is because Starkweather has hundreds of Smileys he can throw at Cash. I have already mentioned that them being insane already makes them useless for most part when it comes to making snuff films, as they are incapable of listening to Starkweather.
Monkey see, monkey kill. That's your motivations for the next scenes. You're killing to entertain, so take your time and play to the camera.
At first, Cash kills 2 Smileys with a hammer. After that, he kills Fug and takes his bat, with which he had to do the same thing once again.
Good boy.
That slut has finally kicked you out.
You made a vow for life, two-faced bastard.
Come to Papa.
Head up there, Cash.
We're going to play some
We got a lot to get
games.
through tonight.
You simply must try the cranberry sorbet. Really, this has got quite out of hand.
Jesus, Cash, you're chewing through these guys like you were popping bubble wrap. Head over to the end of the cell block. I got a surprise for you.
After that is done, Starkweather opens the cellar door for Cash and throws in a couple of Smileys with guns. He actually hoped that Cash would get shot here since Cash had no guns. But Cash executed one of them and took his gun in order to survive. Once he kills them all, Starkweather mentions that there are plenty more Wonderland fun lined up for Cash, which is him teasing Cash about the next scene where he has to chase a bunny.
Just keep on adding to the body, Toad. Do your thing. Just keep camping these crazies. They come out of the woodwork like termites. Okay, Cash, you performed brilliantly. Don't worry, I've got plenty more Wonderland fun lined up for you.
This is the moment where Starkweather plans to kill off Cash. At this point, Cash has given more than enough gore to Starkweather. He can make this his best film ever produced, but he cannot trick Cash into following him blindly. By this point, Cash knew everything about Starkweather. He knew that this guy lies about everything, which is why Starkweather failed to catch Cash off guard. He followed the White Rabbit and killed every single Smiley on his path. In this scene alone, Cash killed almost 50 hunters. At the start, he killed the Smileys released from the cells by blowing their heads off. He then gets rid of everyone trying to ambush him. After that, he sets a new meaning to the word death row by delivering deaths consecutively.
You're my big, ugly Alice, so go on, follow the White Rabbit.
No!
Get rid of the pink dress freak and get up to the watch room. Mr. Rabbit has left you a gift.
Please.
A new meaning for death row. Get yourself up to that watch room. You're a threshing machine, Cash. Now head for the door below the control room.
If you head over to the optional areas which will provide Cash painkillers, you can discover the brutal ways Starkweather used the Smileys to kill people. There are body bags everywhere in the penitentiary, and these are dead bodies of people he killed in his previous Snuff. Some of these dead bodies are completely pale and rotten because there are no place to hide them. By the end of the chase, Starkweather reveals to Cash that he had been a great leading man for the film. However, his time is up now. But this was a mistake. Cash was not tired at all and didn't let his guard down. He finishes off all Smileys and chases the bunny. When the bunny realizes he survived, that's the moment he calls for the Cerberus. That's why they appear in this scene, because they are the private military working for Starkweather, and when he learned the fact that Cash actually survived, he had no choice but to send the Cerberus. You might have noticed that the final chamber where Cash was supposed to die is a very open chamber. It is actually one of the largest rooms of the entire game. Starkweather wanted Cash to be in the open so that he is more likely to die. That's also why he made sure to have as much light as possible so that Cash cannot hide from his enemies.
Close your eyes, bad boy! Time for bye-byes!
What can I say? You are a good leading man. The audience will love you. Don't expect any royalty checks where you're going.
Fuck! You're supposed to be dead! Oh, fuck! He's after my freaking...
Lost him.
Cash kills the Cerberus on his path and collects the keys from the bunny in order to reach the next scene. On the top of the building, he kills the sniper and takes his sniper rifle, with which he kills the last Cerberus trying to kill him. You might be wondering, why did the Cerberus come to kill Cash with shotguns when he had a sniper? It makes no sense that a private militia would try to kill someone with a sniper by using shotgun, right? Well, that's because everything that happens from here on out is completely unplanned. No one knew that Cash would actually survive survive everything and kill the sniper guy on top of the tower. That's why the remaining Cerberus hides from Cash and runs from cover to cover in order to close the distance and reach him. Unfortunately, Cash is a cold-blooded killer who is very capable of using a sniper rifle. That's why he manages to kill them all while they try to get close to him. When Cash reaches the exit, Starkweather notifies Ramirez that Cash was escaping. Ramirez was one of the few skilled killers Starkweather had under his belt. That's why he is one of the only enemy of this game that cannot be executed from behind. But I will talk about him in the next scene.
Ramirez! You let Cash slip his leash. Bring him to heel. Failure isn't an option. Now go.
So Ramirez has his hands on Cash. Once again, Cash has to survive Ramirez and his war dogs. He takes away the weapons of Cash in order to leave him naked. Now let's answer the first and most obvious question. Why did Ramirez not kill Cash? That's because of Starkweather's order. He wanted Cash alive. He actually mentions this when this scene ends. But the reason he wanted Cash alive is most likely because instead of just killing him, his death could have a good role on Starkweather's snuff. That's just a theory, but I think this is most likely what was going to happen. Cash has killed so many people in one night that it makes sense for him to have a special death for the snuff, but that's just my guess. So, Cash is left out by the war dogs in the wild, and he has to survive Ramirez this time.
Where do you think you're going, man? Huh? Huh? What the fuck? You think you're tough? Think you're tough? I'll rip your fucking head off! Don't you wanna play anymore? You like hide and seek? You like hide and fucking seek? Well, we're coming for you, asshole.
What's the matter, little boy?
Ready or not?
It's our turn now.
Run! Run! If you don't find him soon, I'll shoot you myself.
There isn't much that happens in this scene that has to do with Starkweather, as it was more about Ramirez trying to kill Cash. So I will skip this scene for the most part. Cash can kill Ramirez with a sniper rifle or face to face with a shotgun, but I decided to kill him using the sniper rifle simply because it was the easiest way to get rid of him. Once he is finished, Cash escapes, and this is the moment Starkweather genuinely starts to panic since he just lost complete control of Cash. By this point, all of the snuff scenes are completely done, so nothing was under his control anymore. The reporter at the very beginning of the game reaches to Cash. She explains to Cash that she wants to expose Starkweather. Cash also wants to take revenge on him, which is why he teams up.
Get in, you idiot! Get in!
Pull over! Pull over! Who are you?
I've seen your face before.
Get off of me! I'm a reporter! I was at your execution!
Keep talking.
I've been following Starkweather's operation for months.
Who's Starkweather?
The guy that's been talking you through this whole circus of death? Look, I've got all I need to expose that sick bastard, but he's definitely on to me now. So I have to get back to my apartment, collect my material, and get out of town before I become another one of Starkweather's extras.
You can bring him down? This Starkweather?
Absolutely. This is gonna make my career.
Okay, let's go.
Huh?
To your apartment. Drive!
We finally get a clip of Starkweather talking to the CCPD chief Gary Schaefer, who was also mentioned in Grand Theft Auto 3. This conversation reveals how the CCPD was working for Starkweather and did everything he told them to do no matter what, simply because of the fact that these snuff films were making him a lot of money and he was paying these cops from that, so they let him commit any crime he needed to commit.
We've lost. What? Are you fucking... Oh, shut up and get some of your boys to take care of it. Don't file the arrest report. Don't kill him either. Send both to me.
Hey, remember who you're talking to, you son.
Listen, you fuck. It's your job to clean up this city's mess. That's what you get paid for.
Shit.
Okay, pull over here.
But it's another block or two to my apartment.
Just shut up and stick with me if you want to stay alive.
Cash protects the reporter and kills the cops on his way. He also steals a gun from them and shoots every cop in front of the reporter's apartment. Once inside, he gets rid of the final cops and helps her escape town. Starkweather was after her, so she needed to escape. Exposing his snuff ring would be a way for Cash to take revenge as well. So he lets her escape and goes after Starkweather.
I can't find him.
Everything I need is in that box under the table.
Good. Take it and get out of town.
But you're not coming with me?
I'm going to deal with Starkweather personally. Thank him for my second chance. You're my backup if I don't make it. Have a nice life.
In order to reach his mansion, he needs to take the subway, so the CCPD starts to guard the subway and the streets adjacent to it. But Cash kills the cops and reaches the subway. This is a very short scene. All that happens here is that Starkweather taunts Cash that he would never get out of there alive, and the CCPD calls for SWAT in order to kill Cash. Cash goes guns blazing and whacks everyone, turns on the release to drive the train, and reaches the departure station. While doing this, the SWAT tries to ambush Cash and fails miserably since he had picked up a sniper rifle from the previous scene. Once Cash manages to kill all the cops and exit the station, this scene ends.
You'll never get out of that subway alive.
Roger, we're at the station.
This is Charlie Leader. Power has been shut off. Repeat, power is off.
Ass.
This is Bravo Leader. Regroup at the tracks. Roger, Alpha Team. Charlie is en route from the precinct as we speak.
He's lost me.
This stinks of some well-to-do inbred need. Oh.
Pixie is revealed to be broken out of his chain before this scene begins. This is a tease to the players that Pixie will be a boss fight. Other than that, this is yet another scene where Cash is just trying to reach Starkweather's mansion, and so he has to get past a couple of trains. He kills the SWAT and CCPD by the end of the scene. He is once again caught by the Cerberus, who kills off the cops trying to get to Cash. Why did the Cerberus shoot the cops? Because Starkweather told Gary Schaefer to bring Cash to him and not kill him. However, these cops can't catch Cash, so they are firing at him. Cerberus shoots the cops that surrounded Cash so that they don't kill him. Not to mention, the Cerberus only starts to shoot the cops when they say, "Shoot that cop killing SOB," and about to fire at Cash. Once that is done, Cerberus kidnaps Cash for the final time.
Not another inch, asshole! Fucking A, we got him! Woohoo! Put your fucking hands up! Shoot that cop killer son of a bitch!
I have mentioned that Starkweather wants Cash to probably die in a special way to give his Snuff an epic ending, but I haven't mentioned what way that might be. My best guess is that he was going to get Cash be eaten by Pixie. When I go to the scene Deliverance, I will explain this much further, but for now, just know that ultimately it was in his best interest to keep Cash alive, and that's why he did. The reporter from earlier is seen to be exposing Starkweather right outside of his mansion. However, no one can be seen. Meanwhile, Cash is taken hostage and kept in a garage. That's because Pixie broke from his chains and was roaming free, killing other Cerberus on his path. This is why they call for support, and the Cerberus lock Cash up in the garage thinking he couldn't escape. They actually wanted to kill Cash despite the orders of Starkweather.
But Mr. Starkweather refuses to comment on these allegations. At this point, it is unclear as to whether or not he will ever be allowed to direct again. This is...
You know what? I don't give a fuck what Starkweather wants. Maybe today I kill you, maybe not. Kill the camera.
Big
What was that? Go check it out. Maybe it is your day. Shit! What the fuck is that? Support! Repeat! Send in! Oh shit!
Cash gets a glass and opens the gate of the garage. He then kills the Cerberus and takes his gun. Using that, he kills the rest on his path and acquires shotgun. Once he progresses further along, he kills every Cerberus guarding the front of Starkweather's mansion.
Burn him down! Starkweather wants them both dead. No sign of either target. They won't get through this way.
He finds out that Starkweather has dead bodies of victims hanging from the trees, which is his wicked way of decorating the garden. Cash kills all of the Cerberus and takes their assault rifle. While marching towards the mansion, two snipers can be seen on the lookout for Cash. Cash, on the other hand, gets rid of the ground troops, kills the snipers, takes the sniper, and kills the rest of the outside troops coming after him. Once all the killing is done, he finally enters Starkweather's mansion. In this scene, Cash kills the key personnel holding the key to a generator that powers up an elevator which takes him to the attic where Starkweather was residing. Other than him killing a lot of Cerberus, nothing really happens. One thing that should be noted is that Starkweather has pictures of himself in his own house. This might be a sign of Starkweather being a narcissist as well. Keep in mind, when he was a Vinewood movie director, he used to be proud of his work. Despite the bad films and flopping, he disagreed. That's why he later on took revenge on those who badmouthed him and his work. This is why him having a picture of himself in a huge frame inside his $1 million mansion completely makes sense. Not to mention, someone like him has to have pride, as that makes it so he doesn't feel guilty with what he does and goes to bed at night in peace.
Have you locked the elevator? Nobody gets anywhere near Starkweather. Give me the key. Yes, sir. I want you to go down to the basement and turn off the motor. We can't be safe with these two bastards running around. We're on it, sir. Copy that request for support. Hang in there, guys. Help is coming.
Weasels, hold up here someplace. You copy? I got this guy in my car.
Once Cash reaches for the elevator, Pixie tries to open it with his chainsaw. Cash knew staying there was dangerous, so he drops his weapons and climbs up a vent in order to escape from Pixie and reach the attic. This is where the final showdown begins. Pixie is let loose in the attic and tries to kill Cash. Pixie is a very obese man and big in size, so Cash knew he couldn't take out Pixie in one go and without any weapons except for the glass shard. So he manages to hide from Pixie and stabs him 3 times, which ultimately weakens Pixie and makes him go back to the place where he was chained for a long time. Cash then baits Pixie into going after him. This results in Pixie falling through the fence because of his obesity and Cash cutting his hands off.
No more! Pixie's angry! Pixie bored. Go home. Go to bed and sleep. It's Pixie's home!
Snuff. Once he's finished, Starkweather had nothing to do other than sending the last few Cerberus beside him to kill Cash. However, Cash manages to hide from them and finish them one by one with his newly acquired chainsaw. After this, Cash becomes the hunter and Starkweather becomes the hunted. He tries to kill Cash with his gun but fails to put a bullet in him. Cash, on the other hand, uses the chainsaw to cut open Starkweather. Literally, Starkweather tells Cash that I made you. He says this because he turned Cash far more dangerous than what he was.
Send him to hell. Go on.
Yeah, I need you to move up and cover all the angles. He's here! Just get your asses moving! Yeah, he's a goner.
Don't blow your one big chance here.
Cash, I made you!
This was most likely the night Cash would never forget for the rest of his life. So, Cash kills Starkweather and puts an end to the slaughter. The reason Starkweather kept Pixie around is because he was a cannibal that would eat human flesh. He wanted Cash to die by the hands of Pixie, and then Pixie would eat him, giving the ultimate ending to the perfect snuff ever produced. However, what ended up happening is that Cash not only survived, he ended up killing the very director who made this snuff. Mr. Nasty, the producer of these snuff films, actually ends up recording the death of Starkweather as well. That's why when Cash killed Starkweather, you could see the camera HUD. In an ironic way, Starkweather gave his own life to create his ultimate masterpiece. Not only was he responsible for the death of hundreds of people in violent and brutal ways, but also he himself became a part of it by dying in a gruesome way as well. Once it all ends, the reporter ends up giving an update that Gary Schaefer claimed to be not guilty, and in Grand Theft Auto 3 Libs Radio 106, it is confirmed that he was indeed cleared of all charges. This wraps up the lore of Manhunt.
Acclaimed movie maker Lionel Starkweather has been found dead today, along with several of his bodyguards, at his estate at the Wapona Hills residential district. In what investigators are calling a bloody vendetta, an unknown assailant infiltrated the compound, killing Starkweather, but more interestingly, leading police to the site of a snuff film ring being run from the estate's confines. Linked to this ring is Carcer City's own police chief, Gary Schaefer, whose lawyer stated that he intends to plead not guilty.
When you finish the game and let the credits roll, it will play out a soundtrack. If you let the credits continue, you will reach a point where a peaceful music will start to play. This song gives you hope and makes you want to live for a better tomorrow. This is actually the peaceful resolution of Cash's mind. After a long night of relentless killing and losing his family, Cash was also pronounced dead to the entire world, only for him to fight through hell and beyond. It was finally the time he could give up on killing people and be born anew. That's why this music plays out, as it is telling the players that peace finally arrived for Cash, and though he is scarred for the rest of his life, as he will never forget this last night, there is still hope for him. With the death of Starkweather, manhunts became the ultimate snuff to consume. People like Mr. Nasty has no reason not to cash in on this. Even though the cops are under investigation and the entire snuff ring got exposed, Mr. Nasty was gone. He was never revealed to anyone anyway. This is why he has a reason to keep the snuff business going. And this is actually further proven by the last cutscene that you see, where we are shown that a kid's program just finished and the entire snuff was taped over it, which is an irony, just showing a corruption of something innocent with the worst content imaginable. So there you have it, my ultimate analysis and breakdown of Lionel Starkweather from Manhunt. He was so sadistic that not only did he get happiness from people dying in brutal ways, but he also masturbated to it, only for it to end by him losing his own life in the most brutal fashion. That's right, his death was the most brutal death compared to everyone else's. Even Pixie only lost both arms and fell to death, but his was by far the most brutal. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please become a member of my channel to get early access to my videos and subscribe so you won't miss any content. More Grand Theft Auto and lore videos are coming soon, so stay tuned. With that being said, Perfect Enrager signing out.